Hey everybody, welcome back for another memory keeping plan with me. So this is for the week of Halloween. There's only going to be 6 days posted in this video though, because I decided to move November 2nd, which is typically Dia de los Muertos, to the next week so that I could use a kit for that theme. For Halloween this year, I used leftovers from a Cinderella paper kit called Wicked Cute. This was Kittenish Jess art, and I had so many lovely full boxes left over because there were a lot of free boxes, like extra sheets provided with this kit. Although actually I think the kit was priced just slightly higher than her normal kits because of all the freebies. I love the kids or just like all the costumed people in this kit. I thought this art did a great job of like showcasing what for me Halloween is really about, which is showing off your costumes. So I also had a little bit of foil from Planner Pixie Co. and Plannahannah, just little bits and bobs in hollow and black and all of that. Not too much, but I did have it left over, so I thought I would go ahead and use it. I apologize if I sound stuffy. I am so sneezy this week. I think weirdly enough, the pollen count is high while it is cold and foggy. So I'm not sure how that works, but that's where we're at. I loved this Wednesday Addams box, so I had to use that. I feel like I could easily, here's the thing, I've never watched any Addams Family anything, but obviously it's like a huge part of pop culture. And I have long, dark, not black, but dark hair. So like it would be a super easy Halloween costume for me to do. I don't know why I haven't done it. So maybe next year. But yeah, I loved all the other kids, like the mummy kid and the baby and the beanie baby outfit was really cute. And then the adult costumes were really fun as well. So I just scattered those throughout, and you'll see on Sunday I will put in some pattern boxes, which I don't normally use pattern boxes. I don't prefer them, but I felt like for this week, because I was putting 3 full boxes on Sunday to cover up that day, it made sense. In the sidebar, I pulled in a habit tracker for flossing, and then I had to pull in a weekly checklist from my leftovers collection to write in all of my dinners for this week. And then I was really struggling with like what to do with the sidebar here. Eventually, I will pull in a pattern box and just cut it at the bottom and put an overlay over it. But I just kind of left that alone for now while I figured out the rest of the spread. Something I've been doing with these larger kits, if I save the leftovers, is that I'll just use one washi strip for both weeks that I use it in the couple of years that I use it. So that's what you're seeing here. I used the other washi strip last year when I used this kit. And then I just went in with all of my full boxes, moved them around if I needed to. And I have my Halloween nails still in this video. I think Impress Nails is still selling these on their website if you like them. The only thing I didn't like about these was that they came with like a little rhinestone on the spider nail, which is on my middle finger, and that rhinestone fell off. Actually, it had rhinestones on like multiple of the nails, and those rhinestones so easily fell off. And that kind of was a little bit nerve-wracking because I'm like, where did the little rhinestones go? So that was the only thing I didn't like. There's other nails that they sell that have little things glued onto them, like little pearls or rhinestones or things. And I'm like, I don't know that I want to get those just because it's so nerve-wracking having like a little tiny pebble of plastic that you don't know where it went. That doesn't, it's not something I like. But those are all my full boxes. As you can see, I put in 2 pattern boxes on Sunday. I didn't have enough glitter headers to fully fill out Sunday, so I did have to cut up this little glitter washi strip that was included in the kit. So it was nice that that was included. Normally I don't use that glitter washi strip in Cinderella paper kits because I don't really know what it's supposed to fit or what it's supposed to be for. But because I needed some extra glitter headers on Sunday, it came in handy. And like I said, I don't really use pattern boxes most of the time, but I think it works really well covering up Sunday because then I can kind of frame this Frankenstein costume with the patterns instead of having like competing full boxes with like scenes or something like that. The only thing I didn't like about using the date covers was that I couldn't use Sunday, and orange is one of my favorite colors, so it kind of broke my heart a little bit not to be able to use the Sunday, but that's okay. Sorry, there's going to be construction in the background of this. You probably won't hear it, but I will hear it. So if I sound distracted at any point, that is what's going on. Here is me trying to figure out what I'm doing. So I think this is where I figure out the washi situation. no, I went into my foil overlays. So that says Just a Little Ray of Pitch Black. That is from Planner Hannah in Unicorn. That was a freebie. And then this Halloween script is from Planner Pixie Co. in Hollow. And then in the sidebar, that's also from Planner Pixie Co. that says Boo Sheet with a little ghost. And then I put in these tarot cat underlays that I had left over. I just had a couple of them left over and I could not decide for a little bit if I wanted to put them on Halloween or on Saturday when we hosted people for a pizza party. I ultimately decided for the pizza party day. And then I had these little like pumpkins on the Planet Hannah freebie in that unicorn foil. That's the color that she calls it. It's kind of like Neapolitan ice cream in a way. It's like lavender, silver, and pink. But I just decided to scatter those across the different full boxes. And then I put the spooky season script over the pattern box at the bottom of Sunday. So yeah, a pretty chill Halloween. My husband and I dressed up and went to our local brewery, which was very quiet that night because it's very popular with families. And obviously a lot of people who have kids were probably doing stuff in their own neighborhoods. We got absolutely no trick-or-treaters. It's very sad. We saw a couple of like young teenagers going around to the houses, but they didn't come down our street. So, oh well. Our street's very dark and we're kind of in a weird little corner of town. So we do not get the traditional trick-or-treaters. My hope one day is that we'll live in a neighborhood where we do, but the last couple of neighborhoods we lived in, not so much. They at least don't come to our door. They go to other houses, but not ours. So let's get into the day by day. So last year I color blocked this kit, I think. Yeah, I definitely did because of the glitter headers that were left over. But this year I needed to mix things up because that's what I had left. So on Monday I marked that it was one of my brother's birthdays with a Cinderella paper cake. I went and taught my classes, and then I was just kind of in a not great mood this day. I'm not going to fully get into it, but in short, there are a lot of times when you are an educator, when you're a professor, when you're a teacher, where you're just being questioned constantly. And I want people to learn genuinely, but sometimes people ask me questions that I'm just like, that's really not a question for me. That's a question for advising or tutoring or literally anybody else. So yeah, it's just the constant, why do I have to do this? Why do I have to do that? It wears on your nerves for after a little while. So I am always patient with people, but there are some times where it's just like, you're gonna have to ask somebody else. So these stickers are all from Sweet Ava's paper. That little Witch Please mug is to mark my bad mood. I came home and took a nap in between classes, and then I went and taught my night classes. And then I was grading during that class, or after class, in between classes, something like that. I've tried to pull in Monty the Bat from Sweet Ava's paper as much as possible. And then I came home from work and my husband surprised me with a vinyl. So I had bought a tiny vinyl of Casey Musgrave's Deeper Well. It was like a 2-track vinyl. My husband loves to browse the local used record stores. So he found a used copy of the full Deeper Well album, and we discovered upon opening it that it was the Target version. So it was red. It was quote unquote crimson clover colored. So that was very exciting. That album came out in early 2024, so it's kind of funny that there's already a used copy available in late 2025, but I am totally fine with that. I'm kind of at a point with records that like I prefer used records. It makes it feel more genuine. Like I don't really want any like current music on vinyl. Deeper Well is kind of an exception because it's a very chill, like more acoustic album, but I'm more into getting records of albums that came out like when vinyl was the only option. I'm a little bit of a hipster like that. But anyway, that was a very nice surprise. That was very sweet of him. So that Molly on the record player is from Itty Bitty Sticker Co. Tuesday, I started the day with some yoga. Then I had to do a bunch of grading, and then I voiced over a plan with me and filmed another one. And basically everything on Tuesday is from Sweet Ava's paper. And then this was when the squirrels really stole the top off my husband's jack-o'-lantern. So I marked that because they ruined Halloween just a tiny bit. Actually, I think they've been eating my pumpkin as well that I haven't thrown out. So I might need to throw that out soon. But it's been so cold outside that like it's basically been kept refrigerated. And then at the end of the day, I watched YouTube. Wednesday, I went and taught my classes again and then lesson planned, took another nap in between classes. That's really how I've been surviving my night class this semester. And then for my night class, I decided to bring them treats. I brought a bunch of different candy because they've been really great sports this semester. So I wanted to give them something for their efforts. And generally at that school, when I do bring treats, they don't just like, how do I say this? They get really excited about it at that school in particular. So it makes me like want to bring things, because sometimes you bring stuff and people like slightly act like it's an imposition, but like this particular college, like students are genuinely excited when you like bring stuff and they're like telling you about their favorite foods or their favorite candies or whatever. And so it just makes it more, it makes it feel like you're actually doing something that people want instead of like imposing your version of treat onto them. Does that make sense? Anyway, moving on, I went and taught my night classes. There was a little bit of a drama situation at the end of the day, not going to get into it. And then I had cramps. So that's all from Sweet Ava's paper. Thursday, I marked a countdown to a concert that we're going to, as well as a countdown to a vacation that we're going on. I was super exhausted this day. I did do some exercise, but then I had to get into lesson planning and grading. I took my vitamins because this was the one day I remembered to do that. And then Evie had a massive hairball. So I thought it would be funny to mark that with the Sweet Ava's paper, which girl with the cat sitting next to her, because the cat is like yawning. So I thought that was funny for a hairball, if not slightly gross. And then there was a new episode of Abbott Elementary from the night before, so I watched that. And then a new Stranger Things trailer came out for season 5 this night. I think this was the one that had the Queen song. What's it called? Who Wants to Live Forever? And anytime they put like some sort of melodramatic 80s music in a trailer, I'm going to start crying, even if the trailer wasn't, I mean, it was pretty dramatic though. And I'm like, can Will catch a break? So I'm going to pull in a Vecna sticker from Carly Plans. And I think this is the first video where I've mentioned this. The Stranger Things sheets are available in Carly Plans. I just realized that like a week or two ago. It's called Friends Don't Lie, and she's got a sheet for all 4 seasons. So if you need Stranger Things character icons, check that out. I really enjoyed using mine over the last few years that I've had them. And then Friday was, of course, Halloween, and Halloween was on a Friday this year, so I marked that it was Hallow-weekend, and Halloween will be on a Saturday next year, so that'll even be better because, like, we like hosting people on Halloween if we can, but, like, on a Friday. Although a lot of our friends, like, go to things, and we're not, like, going out on Halloween type of people, especially because we're usually swamped with work, so we did our own version, and then we had people over the next day. So I did laundry that day. That's from Beneva Creations. Cafe with Anna had her spooky Black Friday sale, so I picked up a few kits from that. I had some more exercise to do, and then I graded papers. And then in the evening, my husband put on his Mandalorian costume that he made. This is version 2. He made one a couple of years ago, but then this year he was redoing it. It's still in development. There's still some kinks we got to work out with. Or he has to work out. I'm not doing anything with it, with how it's put together. But he did that, and then I dressed up as Argyle from Stranger Things because it's just an old costume that I have. I have the t-shirt and the visor still. So I marked that with a pumpkin Monty from Sweet Ava's paper. And then we went to the brewery, dressed up in our costumes, and it was mostly just older people at the brewery, which was kind of odd. It wasn't crowded, which was surprising. But yeah, we had dinner there, and then we came home, and one of my brothers came over to visit, I think because his girlfriend was working late, because she generally works night shift. So he was my one trick-or-treater. That was my stupid joke of the day. So he came over, had some candy, we chatted, and then my husband and I, after my brother left, watched the latest episode of Great British Bake Off on Netflix. So I love the couple of bats hanging out on this Sweet Ava's paper sticker for Netflix. For once, I am like not behind. I think it's because I really had to adjust like all of my spacing on Friday. Saturday, let's see, I paid my credit card because it was the first of the month, and then I also sent a donation to one of my local food pantries at one of my colleges that I teach at. And I would encourage you to consider doing the same if you can this year. I feel really lucky that my husband and I both still have our jobs after everything that's happened this year. We have safe housing. Everything is more expensive right now, it feels like. In fact, like our grocery bill, like it's surprising how much more we're spending. It's not like insanely more expensive, but like things cost more right now. But we are very lucky that we're kind of at a point in our lives where we can just pay for things and it's not a big deal. We can't just buy whatever we want. We have a budget for sure, but like we are doing a lot better than a lot of people in this country right now. So I wanted to share based on that because this was around the time where it wasn't clear what was going to happen with SNAP. And the government should use the money that we send it to feed people and house people and take care of people. I am fine with that. But in the meantime, as we can see, they're not going to be reliable to do that. So I sent in a donation to one of the colleges where I teach, to their local food pantry. They do a lot of great work. And especially at that college, one of the biggest barriers for students staying in class is, needing to pay their bills. So that was what made sense for me. I would encourage you to look into doing something similar if you can. And if you can't, just know I understand. And, we're all going through it in our own ways for sure. Okay, so I marked that with a sticker from Sweet Ava's paper. I marked posting to Instagram because I don't often do that, like a free feed post? What the hell is it called? I don't know. That's from Papershire. And then I cleaned and rearranged the living room because we were going to have a bunch of people over and we only have 4 dining chairs. So I decided to rearrange the living room and the kitchen nook so that our couch matched up with our dining table. It was really cute. It just makes no sense for like regularly living our lives in that space, but it was cute. And then we did a make your own pizza party. So I'd been wanting to do this for a while. So we invited people over, said bring whatever toppings that you want to bring. And my husband made the pizza dough. He also made concha dough. So he was baking pan dulce while we were making the pizzas as well. A couple of the hits, I feel, was the paneer masala pizza that we made. Some people brought ingredients for that. That was pretty tasty. Also, I didn't end up trying the carnitas pizza, but because I was just getting full, but apparently that one was really good. We made like a kind of more traditional, like supreme American type of pizza. And I can't remember what else. There was one other one, but I can't remember what it was. I don't think I tried that one either. But that was a lot of fun, just to chat and eat a bunch of pizza. And then my husband, like I said, also made pan dulce. He made conchas specifically. He's gotten really good at it. So you'll see in the next plan with me when I get my Dia de los Muertos kit, there's conchas in the deco for that kit. So I will pull one in to mark that, but I didn't have that kit at the time of filming this. But yeah, he's gotten really good at making those. And they're quite delicious. They're great with coffee. Delicious. And then we watched more Stranger Things at the end of the day. So I pulled in another Carly Plans Stranger Things sticker. I think I pulled in the D20 for this. And then in the sidebar, I just marked that it's okay to have a bad day. I was feeling really down on Thursday because I was just so tired and it was hard for me to get a lot of work done. But then I kind of took a step back that day. And then the next day I was able to pick things back up and get a bunch of grading done. So it's good to take a rest day when you can. But that is my Halloween week. I hope you had a happy Halloween. Let me know what you did, and I will talk to you next time. Bye.